hit like, and subscribe. You're watching the Marc Lamont Hill official YouTube channel.
Peace, family. It's your brother, Marc Lamont Hill. Welcome to Night School. Every night here on the Marc Lamont Hill official YouTube channel, we hold Night School, where we break down the most controversial subjects, the most engaged debates, the most interesting topics going on in the world today. And tonight is absolutely no different. It's my second time seeing y'all today. Now, of course, part of that is a kind of makeup for last night. You put something on, I'm wearing a white t-shirt. Let me look a little more. Does it fit on my big head? Let's see. Oh my God, my head big as hell. Pause. Let's see. That look better? Nah, I think I'm better without it. Anyway, earlier today I did an episode of Night School to make up for last night, and the reason I did it was because I was having severe back problems. Still having severe back problems, but yeah, I'm having severe back problems. Is all I can tell you. And it's tough, and I don't like to take strong pain medication, so I end up like, I don't want to take no Vicodins or Perks or nothing like that. So I end up taking ibuprofen and being in pain, or take some other stuff and kind of chill out. But fortunately, I'm feeling a little bit better. Did some stretches, took a little something, and I'm feeling a little bit better about myself. So I was able to come back on. But I'm still in a great deal of pain, just is manageable. Anyway, that's why we back on. That's why we bite. Got a lot to talk about. What y'all want to talk about? I got a couple stories I want to talk about before we go. But at the very least, I want to hear what you all think as well. In particular, specifically, I want your super chats, your super stickers, your super thanks. I want your voice, your questions. Send them through, and I promise you, I will. I'll answer them. Drop something in, and I'll answer. I'll answer it. Anyway, let's get to it. We already got comments coming in. Thank you, Mao or MAOXAOA. I feel like I'm just messing up the acronyms or the words, but either way, my brother, thank you for the generous donation. It means a great deal to me. I know some of you all are just coming into the room. That's why I'm pausing just for a moment, but I appreciate y'all so much, man. Woo, my back is singing again. Woo, Lord, this ain't no joke. But anyway, I love y'all. I appreciate y'all more than you know. Let's get to the stories, though, because I know that's what y'all came for. Y'all didn't come for me. Y'all came for the stories. Let's get to it. Tarred and feathered. That's what Speaker of the House Mike Johnson says should happen to California Governor Gavin Newsom. Why? Because he pushed back against King Donald Trump. Mike Johnson lit the fire on Tuesday, saying that Trump is, quote, absolutely right to send the National Guard and the Marines into Los Angeles as immigration protests heat up. Over 4,000 troops are now on California soil. And instead of calling for a legal fight, Johnson leaned into straight up frontier justice, saying that Newsom should be tarred and feathered for resisting the president. Newsom didn't stay quiet. He fired back online, calling it, what did he call it? A quote, a threat straight from the 1700s. And he accused, of course, Republicans of dragging America back in time. He ain't wrong. This all started after Donald Trump sent federal troops to clamp down on protests targeting ICE. Protests triggered by his immigration policies and a new bill that will cut food stamps and Medicaid while handing out tax breaks and border funds. Mike Johnson says if Newsom won't control California, Donald Trump will. You know, that tough talk they give. Johnson even compared the LA protests to January 6th, but only to say they're not the same. You know, they always do that. You know, I was talking to somebody earlier today. You'll see it on Al Jazeera in a couple of weeks, but who made a similar argument, right? That the unrest of January 6th is different than what's happening in LA. And I would agree. There's far more peace and justice and principled action in LA than we ever saw in the Capitol on January 6th. But they were arguing it's quite the opposite. And so there's no need for federal intervention on January 6th, but there is in LA right now. Doesn't make sense to me, but they say what they say. Anyway, Republicans across Congress are standing with Donald Trump, calling the troops necessary and blaming Governor Newsom for letting things spin out of control. When the president sends Marines into your city over protests, peaceful, largely protests, your governor fights back, and the Speaker of the House starts calling for medieval punishments, you might be watching democracy stress test itself in real time. California's lawsuit against the federal deployment, it's moving forward. The protests, they're growing louder, and Johnson is doubling down on that one big, beautiful bill that Donald Trump is proposing, which might reshape everything from the tax code to your EBT card. We'll keep close watch on that. We'll pay careful attention to what's going on because this needs our attention. Let's go on to another story. This one, again, we've been covering Diddy a lot. And I know some of y'all are like, why you cover Diddy so much? Because this is the trial of the year, maybe the trial of this young century. We got to cover this because it means so many things. Anyway, she called him a blessing, then cried in court after reading old texts saying he was her partner, her provider, and the reason for her child's joy. But behind the love, Jane, that's what we call her, says it was pain, power, and pressure. In the courtroom, Jane, again, Jane Doe, testified that Diddy gave her $13,000 for her birthday, also gave her Van Cleef jewelry and hotel nights that turned into sex parties that she now regrets. One so-called sobriety party lasted 18 hours. It ended with her sleeping with 3 men at Diddy's request. She says she did it because she loved him, and she couldn't say no. Now, the defense, they're spinning it. They showed pictures of balloons, rose petals, hotel beds, all the stuff Jane decorated herself, arguing that she was the one who set up the freak-offs, at least some of them, on her own. Now, Jane didn't deny it, but said it came from trying to please a man who liked to watch from the side. She told the jury Diddy used her body to act out bisexual fantasies he was too scared to live out himself. Now, it's complicated. She says she adored him. She also says she resents him. She sent him texts full of love, but she says she was trapped in a cycle of manipulation and trauma. Meanwhile, prosecutors are trying to kick a black juror off the case, citing what they call a, quote, lack of candor, while the defense pushes back, saying they want to be heard too. You got racial dynamics, you got power, you got sex, you got celebrity. All of it is colliding in this trial. Now, Jane will be returning to the stand tomorrow. The government will probably rest next week. And the jury is getting closer to deciding, was this a relationship or was this a racket? This is an incredibly fascinating situation because a superficial analysis of this could lead one to say, she signed up for this, she agreed to it, she's responsible for her own actions and Diddy isn't. A more complicated analysis of this can say, hey, power works differently. Coercion works differently. Relationships are complex and complicated. Power dynamics are complex and complicated. And just because someone signs up for it doesn't mean that their desires, their choices, even their agency was shaped or overdetermined by these other factors. But we can keep digging from there and say, well, but at what point from a legal perspective do we say, well, look, if you made the choice, regardless of why, you did make the choice. What's the legal standard for coercion? I don't know. What I know from looking at all the evidence, looking at all the testimony so far is that Diddy is awful and that Diddy did some awful shit. I don't know how the jury, however, is going to deal with it. I don't know how they're going to see it. I don't know how they're going to treat it. And I don't know what the legal standard is for this. So I'm fascinated to see how this plays out. But I don't want you all to look at this testimony and believe somehow that Diddy's not the bad guy here. And I don't want you to look at her as if she's trying to get over and that she's not a victim here. The question is, does this meet the legal standard? And I'm not a legal expert. But this is fascinating and complicated. And I got to know more about it. That's all I can say. Anyway, we got another story before we go. It's a story that makes me very, very sad. Ananda Lewis has passed away. If you don't know Ananda Lewis, you should. She is one of the giants of the hip hop generation. She was a model. She was an activist. She was a carpenter. But most importantly, you probably know her as a television host. She was the host of Teen Summit, which aired on BET. And for so many of us, Teen Summit was the first space on television where young Black people could talk and think and debate and struggle over ideas and issues going on in our community. Ananda was a great host. For a lot of us, Ananda was our first TV crush. She was a lot of people's TV crush. She's a West Coast girl from LA and then San Diego. She was a sweet girl. She was a Howard alum. Shout out to Howard, HU, you know. But I think, and by the way, Ananda had other shows, other career stuff. I don't want to get too much into career stuff, but she was on The Insider. She was on While You Were Out. I think it was called on TLC. She actually had her own daytime talk show. Unfortunately, it launched like on 9/11, and I think it just never worked out because of that. But Ananda was pretty extraordinary. I got to know her later in life, in the last like 5 years, 6 years. Ananda was so kind, so sweet. Ananda was so generous with her time. She was a mother. And she talked about parenting, which I thought was incredibly interesting to talk to her about. We talked about politics, we talked about parenting, we talked about life, we talked about health. And in every interaction I've ever had with Ananda, and people who know her way better than I do can give you way more insight, but she was just always so genuine, always so humble, always so cool. She was generous, she was kind, she was sweet. And everybody I know who knew her from the MTV days, from the BET days, from the whatever days, I ain't met a person yet that don't like Ananda Lewis and that didn't care about Ananda Lewis's well-being because she was such an extraordinary person. I remember during the pandemic, we were talking, and I knew that she had breast cancer. And I just remember hoping against hope that she'd be okay. Today we found out that her struggle has ended. We found out that she was she'd been in stage 4 and she was struggling to defeat this breast cancer. And today her struggle's over. I pray that she transitioned peacefully and painlessly. I send all love and healing to her family, especially her children. I pray that, I don't really have more words. This is very sad. It's heartbreaking. And again, there's an army of people. I mean, you look on social media right now, you'll see tribute after tribute from people who've known her for 20 years, people who were supported by her, cared, protected by her, like all the things. I mean, she has meant so many things to so many people. I'm not the best person to do a tribute to Ananda, but I do want to say to my friend, my colleague, fellow BET alum, Ananda Lewis, rest in peace. You'll be loved and missed by so many people. All right, family, that is night school for the evening. After that, I can't ask you all to do anything as far as donations or likes or subscription, none of that. We'll talk about that another time, family. Just be good to each other, care for each other. Matthew Price, thank you for that note. Salute to you as well. Just be good to each other. Love each other well. And family, look out for your health. Take care of yourself. Invest in yourself. Heal yourself. By whatever means necessary. All right, y'all. I'll see y'all very, very soon.